Well, good morning, everyone. I am Reverend Jessica, the minister at Kitsap Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. I invite you all to follow along in the order of service. I'm going to put that link in the chat. If you are phoning in today, welcome. We have a Zoom coffee hour after the service, and the number to call in is the same number that you use to access this webinar. But the meeting ID is 438-451-134, and the password today is SPRING, capital S-P-R-I-N-G. And I'm going to put that in the chat as well for folks who are following along. We wowould like to start this morning by acknowledging that the land on which we all live is the Aboriginal territory of the Suquamish, the Sklallam, and the Skokomish people. They have lived in harmony with the lands and waterways along Washington's Central Salish Sea for thousands of years. These tribes still live here and protect the land and waters of their ancestors for future generations, as promised by the Point Elliott Treaty of 1855. Now please join me in our musical call to worship, Morning Has Broken.
Good morning. Welcome to the Kitsap Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. Whoever you are and wherever you have come from, or whatever your comfort with modern technology, for this hour, we here are one gathered congregation and all are welcome. My name is Rosemary Dougal and I serve on the worship committee as well as the Welcoming and Membership Committee. Our worship leader this morning is our minister, Reverend Jessica Starr Rockers. I'd like to welcome any visitors. Please introduce yourself in our chat section. We welcome more interaction with all during our after-service coffee hour. The link to the Zoom coffee hour is in the chat box. You'll also need the password SPRING with a capital S to get into the coffee hour. The announcements are on our webpage, www.kuuf.org, or our weekly email newsletter, The Candle. And now you're invited to light a personal chalice or a candle in your home as we read these chalice lighting words. O power of springtime, spirit of green grasses and warm breezes, goddess of creativity, of birth, of life renewed. You sing all about us at this time. The birds call your sacred name. Buds burst forth with your vestment. The sun reaches higher into the sky, shining the light of this new day through the windows of your cathedral, this world. O power of springtime, forgive us our speediness and our racing before your eternal grace, that we do not see the miracle world we share. Open our eyes with your warmth and our hearts with your beauty. Slow our minds with awe and wonder. Dear spirit of green grasses and warm breezes, let us find here in these moments of quiet the grace of your breath as we breathe into our bodies the spirit of spring. Please join in singing our opening hymn, Lady of the Season's Laughter. The words will appear on your screen. join me in the spoken affirmation. The words will appear, well, the words are on your screen. We gather as a caring community, seeking life's deeper meanings. We value diversity and affirm the worth of all living things. We strive to speak truth in love, to act for justice, to grow in spirit, and to care for the earth. We celebrate with open hearts and minds the creative power that sustains and transforms us. And now it is time for our morning offering. If you would like to donate electronically, please click on the paypal.me link in the chat box. You may then email admin@kuuf.org to let us know if your donation is for the KUUF General Fund, the Minister's Discretionary Fund to help our members in need, or our monthly charitable giving recipient. This month, it's Kitsap Immigrant Assistance Center. You may also send a check to the address on your screen. Please write in the memo line to which of the funds your offering should go. If this is your first time at KUUF, there is no need to contribute, as you are our guest. Let there be an offering to strengthen and sustain our sacred community. Thank you for your continued generosity.
Well, now I would like to invite all of the children who are watching and the child who lives in my home with me, and the young at heart I want to invite you all maybe to sit a little bit closer to the screen. So today, you probably know, is Mother's Day. And some of us are with our moms today and celebrating them, doing nice things for them. Thank you. And some of us can't be with our moms today and are missing our moms. And some of us, we have been mothered by fathers or grandmothers, aunts and uncles, foster parents, or even family friends. Someone I know calls Mother's Day Honoring Our Parents' Day, Part 1 of 2. So however you are celebrating today, I wanted to teach you a little something about how to mother yourself, especially for those of us who like hugs, and we haven't had one in a long while because we're doing social distancing. This is something that we can do when we need a hug and we are alone. Now, we might need a hug because we are sad, or because we are lonely, or because we are happy and excited and we want to share it with someone. So if you're feeling any of those ways today, I invite you to do this with us. And this is a way to calm our bodies and remind us that we are loved, we are beloved, and we are cared for. And everyone who's watching can do this. It's not just for kids. So make sure everybody you join in on this. So I'm going to show you 2 hugs that are considered calming hugs that calm our bodies. So you take your right hand, or maybe if you're left-handed, you can do it the opposite way, and you put it under the opposite arm, and you can tuck it up in here. And then you take this hand and put it on your shoulder. And then you squeeze, you tighten your shoulders and everything. Take a deep breath, and then you release. And we can do that again. Squeeze, breathe in and hug ourselves. And then exhale and release. And even when we're doing this, we can just settle into that posture a little bit and sway back and forth. That feels good, huh? Yeah, it really does calm the body. So there's another one, and this is called the butterfly hug. And that starts with putting your hands like this, crossing your hands and putting your thumbs together. And then you rest them just on the upper part of your chest, so your fingers are kind of touching your collarbones. And then you just flutter the wings of the butterfly. You breathe in and out. And you can do 2 wings of the butterfly at once, or you can take turns. Sometimes it's nice just to do it slow, where you're just patting yourself. And some of us, this is all what your body likes to do. Some of us like to do it on our shoulders. And we can do the butterfly hug there as well. Breathing in and out. And if you have trouble getting your arms up this high, some of us do, you can do it, you can cross your arms like this and just do it on the tops of your legs and hug yourself that way. And one of the important pieces is breathing in and out, taking deep breaths. So I hope that you are giving yourself lots of hugs this week, and I hope that you feel the hug from me and Liam to you today until we can be together again in person and do that together. So give yourself a big hug from us. And now we're going to sing our song that we sing every week, This Little Light of Mine. And pay attention because the lyrics change. And I want to say how much I look forward to singing this song every week and how important it is right now to let our lights shine. So let's go. We'll start with This Little Light of Mine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine.
gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
All around my home.
All around my home, I'm gonna let it shine. All around my home, I'm gonna let it shine. All around my home, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
Giving myself a hug.
Give myself a hug, I'm gonna let it shine. Give myself a hug, I'm gonna let it shine. Give myself a hug, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
This little light of mine.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
Let it shine,
Let it shine, let it shine.
Thank you. Well done. And thank you, everybody, for singing along with us. We can't hear you, but we can feel you, especially with through our hugs today. So now is the time for our joys and our sorrows. Though we are physically distanced from one another, our hearts and our spirits remain connected. When shared together, our joys are amplified and our sorrows lessened. Before we share our joys and sorrows together today, I would like to take a moment to acknowledge the loss of someone very precious to our KUUF family. Last week, Tom Brazier passed away. If you met Tom even once, you know what a huge loss this is to our KUUF community. Tom was husband to Flory, is husband to Flory. And in my time knowing Tom, I never saw him far from Flory. He had a wicked sense of humor, a real love of life and everything in it, and a real love of family, both the kind to which he was related and the kind he chose. He brought a huge, joyous spirit into our sanctuary, to all our gatherings. And while Tom, the man, has died, his spirit lives on in our memories, in our hearts, and in our community. Death cannot take those things from us. Love is eternal. Our love, and the love that fills the universe in its very being. So may that love surround us now as we take a moment to send our blessings to Tom, to remember Tom, and to send our blessings to Flory and their whole family. Thank you for taking that moment today. May the laughter and love we all shared with Tom surround us now and stay with us in our hearts today and through the days ahead. And now I would like to invite you, if you have a particular joy or sorrow to share, to put it in our chat this morning. And I'll share those aloud. Lisa wrote, sending love to Flory and all their family. Yes, we're all sharing in that with you today, Lisa. Jennifer says, as my 2-year-old self said, no matter what happens, they're always in your heart and their spirit will never die. That is true. Thank you. Maya has a joy for all the fun we've been having building forts with Dad. I'm so glad for you. That sounds wonderful. Matthias and Bunny, joy to be celebrating my first Mother's Day, something I have yearned for so many years. Happy Mother's Day, Bunny. Bonner, I've a joy to have the honor of knowing Tom Brazier. He gifted me a bicycle, which I still ride. Thank you for sharing that, Bonner. Nikki is grateful for my neighbors for building cinder block steps so that their son can peek over the fence and say hello and occasionally leave me little gifts. My isolation has been easier with this kind act. Thank you, Nikki, for sharing that with us. That's beautiful. Ted Johnsrud says, very sad. Tom and I had many wonderful conversations. I will miss him. We share that with you, Ted. Kathy, joy for being present today. I'm so glad you're here, Kathy. Jennifer, I have a joy to be able to sit in my hammock for hours and listen to the leaves blow in the trees. That is a joy. James says, I'm sorry for the loss of Tom. Thank you, James. Jane says, please send love to Granny Franny, Bob's mom, 104 years old, having a hard time in isolation at her nursing home near Chicago. Granny Franny, we're sending our love out to her today. Thank you for sharing that with us. Amelia, a joy that we have each other. Yes. Thank you, Amelia. I'm sharing that joy with you today, for sure. Thank you, everybody, for sharing. May you who shared this morning feel the love of this community surrounding you and holding you close. Liz has a joy to be able to do balcony visits with her mom. I wanted to share in that joy for a minute with Liz. May you feel the love of this community surrounding you and holding you close. And for all those whose joy or sorrow is too tender to put into the chat today, our hearts are with you. May the spirit of life and love bring peace to us all. Amen, and blessed be.
Mother's Day really was, in its origin, an anti-war day, an anti-war statement. Julie Ward Howe was sickened by what had happened during the Civil War, the loss of life, the carnage, and she created Mother's Day as a call for women all over the world to come together and create ways of protesting war, of making a kind of alternate government that could finally do away with war as an acceptable way of solving conflict.
Arise then, women of this day. Arise, all women who have hearts. Whether your baptism be of water or of tears,
Say firmly, we will not have questions answered by irrelevant agencies. Our husbands will not come to us reeking of carnage for caresses and applause.
Our sons shall not be taken from us to unlearn all that we have been able to teach them of charity, mercy, and patience. We,
the women of one country, are too tender to those of another country to allow our sons to be trained to injure theirs. From the bosom of the devastated earth, a voice goes up with our own. It says, disarm.
Disarm. Disarm. The sword of murder is not the balance of justice. Blood
does not wipe our dishonor, nor violence indicate possession. As men have
often forsaken the plow and the anvil at the summons of war, let women now leave all that may be left of home for a great and earnest day of council.
Let them meet first as women to bewail and commemorate the dead. Let them solemnly take counsel with each other
as to the means whereby the great human family can live in peace.
Each bearing after his own time the sacred impress,
not of Caesar, but of God.
In the name of womanhood and
humanity, I earnestly ask that a General Congress of Women without limit of nationality
may be appointed and held at some place deemed most convenient.
And at the earliest period consistent with its objects.
To promote the alliance of the different nationalities,
the amicable settlement of international questions,
the great and general interest of peace.
Well, I just want to comment on how beautiful it is to hear our sanctuary piano. And Brian was able to go in this week and record some of our favorite songs that he plays on the piano in the sanctuary. And it does my heart a lot of good to hear that piano again. So we are so lucky this weekend as we celebrate Mother's Day here in the Pacific Northwest that we have been richly blessed with beautiful weather. A blessing from our Mother Earth, known to some as the goddess Gaia. According to the Greeks, Gaia is the ancestral mother of all life. And when we talk about the Great Mother, for those of us who are religious naturalists, or for those of us who are pagan, it is Gaia that we are talking about. One of the reasons that I like the mythology of Gaia is not just because I can simply step outside and appreciate the sacred abundance that is the hallmark of Gaia, but also because this is a holy being who is of the earth, concerned with what is happening right here. Gaia isn't waiting for the afterlife. This life, here today, is what matters. So in this way, Gaia releases us from unattainable perfection, the tyranny of the myth of heaven, and instead asks us to look around where we are at, to be grateful for the gifts we have already been given, and to do our utmost to protect them. The earth, as our mother, cares for us, and we in turn are called as part of that relationship to care for the earth. One of my favorite poems is by Natalie Fenimore, and it is titled Ground of Being. And in it she says, knowing ourselves dark, may we know God dark, beautiful as sun-kissed skin, fertile as the deep, rich earth, warm and nurturing. You are our sacred birthplace. In you we sprout, take root, and grow. This is Gaia. Focusing right now, right here, and looking bravely at the gifts and challenges of this moment is kind of a tradition actually for Mother's Day. This year is the 150th anniversary of the Mother's Day Proclamation. And as you heard Gloria Steinem say in the video I shared, Mother's Day was created as an anti-war protest, a call for global peace by Julia Ward Howe. And Julia Ward Howe was a Unitarian, one of our UU foremothers, a famous abolitionist, writer, and activist. Julia Ward Howe looked around at the gifts and challenges before her and worked to make this world a better place. Part of her proclamation says, from the bosom of the devastated earth, a voice goes up with our own. It says, disarm. When I hear this line, I imagine that the voice that is going up with our own is the voice of the goddess Gaia, spirit of the earth, calling us to live in harmony, to live in peace, to live in mutuality with one another and with the earth. The weather is beautiful today, and we can enjoy it, and yet we know it is unseasonably warm, a result of climate change, because the earth has not been cared for properly. And we are separated from one another because of a global pandemic that has exposed how unsustainable our systems really are, how harmful to the most vulnerable. And in the midst of this, those who are mothering, parenting children at home, our mothers and fathers, are feeling the brunt of society's enormous expectations. Parents are working, teaching, parenting, or not working and struggling to make ends meet, most without any additional support right now, because the machine of capitalism is so insistent. These expectations are not new, but they are amplified right now because of this pandemic, and they hurt our families, our parents and children. And most parents don't talk about it. One of capitalism's rules of success is that when times get tough, you go it alone. From the bosom of the devastated earth, a voice goes up with our own. It says, disarm. What would it mean for us going forward from this moment in history to disarm? What weapons should we be laying down? We've been brought face to face with how unsustainable our systems really are. How might we let nature, the goddess Gaia, inspire us to live in peace, to live in a rhythm, to allow ourselves and our systems time for rest and time for creation? To everything, a season. Because one of the greatest things that Gaia teaches us is how to change. Because death too is a part of life. And after we grieve and mourn, we let go. And this makes way for something new to be born. What might be asking to be born in this moment? As a mother, I have gone through many phases and changes in my life and in the life of my child, and each one has been a struggle and a blessing, and each one has ended, and I have grieved the loss of it, only to discover the next season of parenting is equally precious in its own way. You don't need to have a child to have had this experience of creating, of loving and nurturing, and of letting go. This is the sort of rhythm that we can begin to imagine when we think of how we might create a more peaceful world and a sustainable system for living, where all human life is valued and rest is encouraged and we live in mutuality. In the East, there is a story of another mother goddess, the goddess of compassion, called Quan Yin. Quan Yin is a bodhisattva who is someone who attains enlightenment, but instead of ascending to Buddhahood, chooses to remain on earth to help alleviate suffering. The bodhisattva makes a religious vow of mutuality, a pledge to the interdependent web, saying in essence, like the activist Emma Lazarus, none of us are free until all of us are free. As we move forward from this moment, let us imagine how we might nurture compassion like Quan Yin, how we might free ourselves from the tyranny of individualism and live in mutuality, even deeper in community with one another. How can we support one another and encourage one another to live sustainably, not just in the objects that we use or the energy we consume, but our own energy, our own life force? After this long separation, when we can be together again, let the gratitude we feel be a reminder of how important we are to one another, how important it is to be in this beloved community. And let us commit to living in a way that supports and nurtures our families and our children, both related and chosen, and our great mother, Mother Earth, Gaia. In this sacred birthplace, may we, each one of us on this earth, have all we need to sprout, take root, and grow.
The Lord is my shepherd, I have all I need. heals my soul. She rights my wrongs. She leads me in a path of good things and fills my heart with songs. Even though I walk through a dark and dreary land, there is nothing that can shake me. She has said she won't forsake me. I'm in her hand. She sets a table before me in the presence of my foes. She anoints my head with oil, and my cup overflows. Surely goodness and kindness will follow me all the days of my life, and I will live in her house forever, forever and ever. Glory be to our Mother and Daughter and to the Holy of Holies, as it was in the beginning, is now, and ever shall be, world without end.
I invite you now to set an intention and choose your word for the week ahead. You can choose one word or 2 words or even 3 words. And if you feel called to, you can put them in the chat and I will read them aloud and speak them out into the atmosphere. My word for this week is gratitude. Loving kindness. Love. Maya says hope. Life. Reflection. Patience. Strength. Dedication and progress. Solidarity. Comfort to all. Appreciation. Resilience. Space. Friendship. Stay connected to my breath. Joy. Steadfastness and perseverance. Glorify. Family. faith. Exchange more smiles. Reevaluation. Free. Appreciation. Smiles that pay it forward. Well, thank you everybody for sharing your intentions for the week. Those words sit with me on my heart and I carry them with me. So thank you. Now join me in our closing hymn, which is Mother of All. Well, thank you everyone for being here today. Please join us after this for coffee hour. The link and the password will appear on your screen. If you are calling in on the phone, the number to call is the same number that you used to access this webinar, but the meeting ID is 438-451-134, and the password today is SPRING, capital S-P-R-I-N-G. So now let us extinguish our chalices together. Though we are physically distant, may we feel the presence of one another, the love and support and the care, and hold that close to our hearts in the week ahead until we are together again. Amen, and blessed be.